Yeah. I'm all for that.
Now, Nicholas is a rescued and resident dolphin that lives here at the Clearwater Marine Aquarium. We believe in preserving our environment while inspiring the human spirit through the leadership in the rescue, rehabilitation, and release of marine life, environmental education, research, and conservation. And that mission allows us to help animals in their natural environment while also providing a forever home for animals that were deemed non-releasable. So he was rescued back in 2002. At that time, he was found as a calf at 3 to 6 months of age on the beach with his mom. Now, mom beached herself because she had pneumonia, so she was very, very sick. When a dolphin gets sick like that, they look to conserve energy in any way that they can. These guys expend a lot of energy in hunting for their next meal. So they will actually look to hunt less often when they are very sick like that, but that will only make them weaker and more emaciated. Now, in addition to that, dolphins are conscious or voluntary breathers, so they do need to think about the energy that is required to surface for that breath of air. So when they're sick and weak, compromised with something like pneumonia, they may spend more time in shallow water to stay close to the surface for that next breath of air. And then dolphins will strand or beach themselves as a last-ditch effort to survive. So that's what mom did. Nicholas was a calf dependent on mom. He followed her up onto the beach. And while he was up there, he actually sustained 2nd and 3rd degree sunburns on the dorsal side of his body. So in his training session today, you guys may notice he has lots of scarring on his back. It ranges from his melon or his forehead-like area and goes all the way back to his dorsal fin. And that's from being on the beach with mom and receiving those 2nd and 3rd degree sunburns. Now, both animals were rescued by the Clearwater Marine Aquarium, brought in for rehabilitation, and Nicholas was treated for a period of about 10 months for those sunburns to fully heal. Unfortunately, mom did not make it through rehab. She succumbed to that pneumonia. She succumbed to the sunburns that she had, and that left him as an orphan calf at that young age. Now, typically, a bottlenose dolphin is going to spend about 1 to 2 years nursing from mom before they're on their own out in the wild. They then spend about 2 to 7 years following accompanying mom to learn necessary survival skills. And losing his mom at such a young age, Nicholas simply did not receive those necessary survival skills. He was deemed non-releasable by the government, and that is why he continues to live here with us at the Clearwater Marine Aquarium. Now, because he is a resident dolphin, we do interact with him very closely, as you guys can see. Right now, Nicholas is participating voluntarily in one of his medical management behaviors. This is actually how we would ask Nicholas to do an ultrasound behavior. So his veterinary team is able to ask Nicholas to lay out in front of them. We're then able to touch him with that ultrasound probe, and we can take a look at his overall health. And you can see that's something that he's very, very comfortable with doing. Now, we do this type of behavior because it allows us an objective and diagnostic means of assessing Nicholas's overall health. He is a 350-pound animal who cannot tell us in words when he's not feeling well. Humans can go to the doctor and say, "Hey doc, this part of my body isn't feeling so good. Would you mind checking it out?" But Nicholas, as an animal, he does not have the ability to say those things. So we proactively and voluntarily train our animals to participate in this type of medical care because it allows us to examine them in a way that's stress-free and voluntary for them. So you guys can see that Nicholas is very comfortable in that position. He lays out in front of the veterinary team. He allows us to touch with that ultrasound probe, and then we're able to look at his overall health with that. A lot of times we'll look at the lungs on the animal or the internal organs, and that allows us to really have an overview of what's going on inside of them. Now, in addition to participating in things like ultrasounds, Nicholas also knows to give a voluntary blood sample, to give a gastric sample, fecal, anything you can imagine, because he cannot communicate in words when he's not feeling well. So we're going to ask him to lay out one more time in front of his care team. We're going to let him get into place first. He's not quite in place yet. And then he's ready, super comfortable along the wall there. We're going to touch him with that ultrasound probe. And then you're going to notice that Heather is offering him things that he seems to really enjoy all throughout the process. So we train all of our animals through positive reinforcement training. What that means is we're going to ask him for certain behaviors with the use of a cue. So for example, I asked Nicholas to show his little flipper and to lay out in front of his veterinarian. When he was successful, he heard that whistle. The whistle communicates to him, yes, you are correct. You can stop what you're doing and you can return to your trainer for some type of reinforcement. So that bridges the gap in between when the animal was correct and when they can receive reinforcement. So Nicholas, he enjoys receiving his fish as reinforcement. He eats about 17 pounds of it every single day. But he's not always hungry. Food is not always the most valuable thing to him. One of the most reinforcing things to Nicholas is a good back rub. He also enjoys receiving some of his favorite toys. You guys may see a toy floating in the pool over there. He received that after a successful session earlier today. He also enjoys seeing bubbles or playing with water, receiving flavorless gelatin. So there's a variety of things we can use to communicate to the animals that they did a very good job, and we want to see that type of behavior repeated again in the future. So anytime Nicholas is successful, we'll draw lots of positive attention to that. Anytime Nicholas makes a mistake, or maybe does something that's incorrect, that's okay. What you'll see us doing is just ignoring that behavior. So basically we draw lots of positive attention to all the correct things, and then we just ignore anything that's incorrect. And with that style of training, we train our animals for 3 main reasons. You guys have seen a lot of the medical side of things. That's the most important reason why we train them. But we also train them for their cognitive stimulation, which is what you guys will be watching right here. Now normally we want the animals to do behaviors right away, right in front of us. Now that whistle again means you can stop and return for reinforcement. In this specific concept of behavior, Nicholas is asked to choose a remote location in his pool. So he goes out there and he chooses a location. Now the catch is that he has to maintain that location even if he hears the whistle, look for further instructions until he's offered an invitation to come back to his trainer. So you see he's paying very close attention to everything that Heather is asking him to do. But even when he's correct, he should stay out there until he receives his little invitation to come on back. So he did a really good job. So he has to understand that the rules are slightly different in the context of that behavior. That provides him with a mental challenge, allows him to think and problem solve like his wild counterparts might be doing just to survive out there in the wild. Now Nicholas is currently learning a really fun behavior. He's learning how to recycle and be super eco-friendly. So right now he's learning to pick up plastic from his environment and to toss it on over to the recycle bin. It's kind of a team effort. So he first has to ignore the object going on in the environment. He waits for the specific cue to go get that object. He then picks it up in his mouth, travels back to his trainer Heather, and then he's prompted to toss that object over to the bin. Right now we're working on the toss, as you guys can see. But that's a really fun learning opportunity for Nicholas. Sometimes even if we're training something that's kind of cute and silly, the process of learning something new is very mentally stimulating for the animals. At any given point in their lives, we will typically be training about 5 to 6 new behaviors with them. So right now he's learning that toss behavior. Now the last area of training that we focus on with these guys is for physical exercise. So we of course exercise their brains, we make sure they're healthy with their medical management training, but we also ensure that they get plenty of exercise with their bodies. Now a dolphin in the wild is going to constantly expend energy in order to survive. They have to travel great distances to find their next meal. The hunting strategies that they use are physically exerting. So a lot of times they're going to be expending quite a bit of energy just to catch their lunch. Now here at the aquarium, those same challenges don't exist. Nicholas gets all of his lunch for free from a cooler. He does not have to swim great distances for it. However, if he's going to eat 17 pounds of food every single day, it's important that he also has opportunities to burn off those calories. That's exactly why we teach or train those exercise behaviors like that really fun speed swim that you guys just saw. Now a lot of times we'll also train aerial behaviors like some of the ones you guys might have seen in the beginning of this training session. Those behaviors, Nicholas goes down to the bottom of his pool. He pumps his tail flukes really hard to get his body up and into the air. Now dolphins like Nicholas can jump at heights about 20 feet into the air. So a 350-pound animal getting to 20 feet in the air has to be physically exerting for that. So that's exactly why we train those types of behaviors. So if you guys have ever been to a dolphin show before, you may have seen a lot of high-flying, really fun and exciting things. But although those are so fun for us to watch, the purpose is to exercise the animal, allow them to maintain a healthy body condition and a healthy weight. And of course, all that is done through positive reinforcement training. So we'll take a look on the other end of the pool. And just like all of us, we don't always want to exercise, and that's totally okay. Now, as Nicholas makes his decisions here, we do want to remind you guys that we would never interact with their wild counterparts as closely as you see us interacting with our resident animals here at the aquarium. In fact, it is illegal to interact with dolphins out there in the wild, as these guys are protected under the Marine Mammal Protection Act of 1972. So if you come across any dolphins on your Florida vacation, we do want to make sure that we're keeping a safe and legal distance of 50 yards away from those wild animals. Putting our boats and jet skis into neutral rather than chasing or pursuing for a closer look. And of course, never trying to touch them or feed them, swim with them, or harm or harass them out there, as it is not only disturbing to their success, but it is also illegal here in the United States. So with that being said, you guys made the right choice in coming out to the aquarium today to view animals like Nicholas here. And we are, of course, nonprofit, so we cannot do the work that we do without you guys being here, as well as help from local sponsors like Clearwater and Toyota. So thank you guys again for making the choice to come out here today. If you have any questions, we'll be around to answer them. But for now, thanks so much and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.